How I ended up getting involved with Curus, I was at an industry event on employee benefits, and one of our partners from the event was listening in on a conversation. I was describing what had just recently happened to me, and my 17-year-old son was diagnosed with kidney disease, getting a physical on his 16th birthday, as a matter of fact, and ended up being told that he had bad blood markers, bad numbers, and an hour later I'm in ICU being told my son's dying. Blows your hair back. I'm in the industry. I'm a consultant for healthcare plans. I've been doing it over 25 years, and it just flabbergasted me how the system was run, what was happening, how things worked, how much insurance has a say in the care that my son was given. I specifically work with plans that have the right. Matter of fact, our plan is self-funded, so we're the authors of that plan. And just the pause in which it gave the care that was given to my son, and the confusion that was in it for me as the first time being a user, other than having kids, wasn't really a user of the health plan, took my breath away. I was describing one of these incidences to a couple buddies. One of them said I needed to reach out if I heard of a company called Curus. And the answer obviously at that point was no. It didn't take me long. Signed myself up. At the same time, our own health plan, we had another gentleman here that had a son diagnosed with cancer, 13-year-old son, and had to have his leg amputated and go through a bunch of treatments as well, and signed him up as well. And the importance of that is, where do you go? Where do you turn to? So for me, Curus's involvement, just the things they helped me through and teach. And first one was the first facility that we started working with. Taking too long, wasn't going as quick as I needed it to. It didn't seem like we were working on curing, we were just treating things. Several infections later, fast forward to about 7 months later, I'm going through 4 days of dialysis with my son, drops out of school. And again, just for 4 months, completely surprised at how the industry treats you in that situation, how the healthcare industry treats you in that situation. Knowing what I know and trying to get research and to do some things, reached out to Curus, enrolled. I know I did some research at Mayo Clinic, and how do you get started? How do you get entered into that system? It was great to just call Curus and say, set me up with a consult. Can you get me in? I think it was less than a week I had my first consult up there, followed by an appointment for me to be tested to see if I could be a donor to my son. And I think it was around probably 6 to 7 months as we started that process. So originally, I was approved as a donor for my son to be able to give him a kidney up at the Mayo Clinic 6 months later. At the same time, the other provider, I didn't alert them to what I was doing. By the time they were ready to start the testing process and start finding a match, with the help of Curus, I already had a date scheduled for October. This was all diagnosed in February, so by October I've got a date scheduled. That date, however, got moved. Some other incidences happened. Transferred all of our dialysis care with the help of Curus January 1st. Had the kidney transplant on February 23rd. And unfortunately, as much as I wanted it to be the end, it's just the beginning. It's just the first chapter of what we're having to go through. The testing that was required on my son, he was required to get blood tests every day and for a month, and then followed by come home and now have testing twice a week. Just the comfort of just being able to deal. Being the donor, I wasn't in the greatest of spirits, trying to obviously keep my day job and do what I did for a living, at the same time recover, take care of my family. Curus was there for me to help me set those appointments. Just one less thing I had to do. Could you coordinate the care? We had to be at a place that could do his lab work, run a centrifuge. Who knows where all that stuff is in your own hometown. It was just great to have Curus put that together for us, arrange the care with our primary care physician, make sure that they communicated on the weekly basis that my son was being seen, having all the lab work, worked the way it's supposed to work, in my opinion, for healthcare. So Curus is a big part of that. This is a lifelong disease that my son will have, whether I'm alive or dead. This will be something he has to deal with forever. And just knowing that Curus is there with all his medical records in one place. Throughout this care, my son was seen in Orlando at a hospital facility there where he spent a couple days in the hospital, University of Iowa Hospital and Clinics where he spent god-awful part of probably 4 months, Mayo Clinic. And just from my standpoint there, just the comfort of knowing even after I may not be around or something, God forbid, happens to me, that he's going to have someone there at his side that knows his condition and can help him keep his medical records and be able to help him with his care ongoing. Second thing, we're getting ready for our first trip since this happened. This was basically a 2-year-old deal from start to finish. He's now 17, going to start his senior year, and we're going to take our first vacation here as a family that we hadn't done in a couple years. And as fun as that sounds, his white blood cell count right now is down a little bit, and just a peace of mind knowing if we have to go get injections to boost his white blood cells up in an outpatient treatment facility. Again, I'm on vacation, where do you go? How do you do this? So again, coordinating with Curus to say, hey, this is a possibility. This is something I may need here in the next few weeks when I'm down in Orlando. Where do I go? How do I get the medication? How do I get this set up? It's just a big burden off my hand knowing that I've got that behind me as a comfort level. It's like a security blanket knowing I've got that protection to reach out to them should anything happen. So that's really my story with Curus, and can't say enough good things about how it's helped me. The comfort level it's given both me, my wife, and my son, and they've done a great job at that.